anytime soon.
That was Merlin Thomas from BBC Verify. Now let's go to Ukraine, where air raid alerts were raised all over the country after another night of Russian attacks, with blasts heard in the capital, Kyiv. It comes as the country mourns those killed in strikes across Lviv and Poltava in the last few days. 54 people were killed and almost 300 injured in Poltava, with more casualties in Sumy and President Zelensky's hometown. Meanwhile, Ukraine's President Zelensky continues his major government reshuffle, having fired half of his cabinet yesterday. Now, in the past few hours, Ukraine's parliament has appointed a new top diplomat, Andrei Sybiha. Now, before taking the foreign minister's chair, he worked as a deputy head of the president's office and was Ukraine's ambassador to Turkey. The move follows the recent resignation of the long-lasting foreign minister, Dmytro Kuleba, known in the West for his championing of Kyiv's positions and appealing for weapons to fend off Russia's invasion. President Zelensky said his government needs new energy. Well, let's speak to the senior fellow at the Atlantic Council Eurasia Centre, Michael Bociurkiw, joining me in the Ukrainian port city of Odessa. Thank you so much for joining us here on BBC News. So what do you make of the reshuffle, which we're hearing more and more about? First of all, why now?
Sure. Well, why now is because the Zelensky government felt that a reset is needed. But a lot of analysts, including myself, look at this as a move ahead of the UN week, ahead of the US presidential elections, for the Zelensky administration to consolidate power. But it doesn't look like a very good move, especially if you get rid of someone like Mr. Kuleba. He's a very recognizable face. And I can tell you overnight that in a lot of Western capitals, there's been a range of disappointment and dismay at what has been happening. If I could say a word about Mr. Kuleba, not only was he an intellectual and very powerful speaker, but he was also known as very good on camera, very dapper. In fact, we noticed little nuances in the past few weeks that he was drifting away from the Zelensky administration, trading in that trademark olive green uniform that everyone on the Zelensky team uses for his trademark dapper suits. So he will be really missed, and I'm not quite sure whether the replacement can fill such big shoes of Mr. Kuleba.
Yeah, I was talking to a Ukrainian MP yesterday, and he was saying that this was Mr. Zelensky's decision. So what is it between Mr. Kuleba and Mr. Zelensky? Why has somebody who's been so important to the administration seemingly fallen out of favour?
Well, you know, when Mr. Zelensky first came to power, one of your colleagues asked me whether he's his own man, and at that time she was referring to the oligarch Kolomoisky. Kolomoisky is now gone, and now there's someone else called Andriy Yermak, who's chief of staff of the president's office, and he seems to be the power center there. And it appears to us that maybe Mr. Kuleba was becoming too visible, and what has happened over the past few months as well is the presidential administration has cut the budget of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. It's taken over communications. And what is really sad here as well is that Mr. Kuleba, the son of a diplomat, he's worked diplomacy all of his life. One of the longest interviews he ever gave was to our Global Impact show. He told Melissa Ritchie and myself that he wants his legacy to be to see peace for Ukraine and to show the world that Ukrainians are real fighters. And it looks like at least half of that legacy won't be achieved. Very, very sad.
What do we know about his replacement, Andrei Sybiha? So he worked as the deputy head of the president's office. He was Ukraine's ambassador to Turkey. What is he going to bring to the role?
I do wonder. Of course, anyone who's got good relations with Turkey will be useful because they are a main kind of interlocutor for Ukraine in terms of achieving peace, in terms of communications with Russia. But he comes nowhere close to the kind of intellect, the powers, the connections that Mr. Kuleba brought. And I'm also afraid of his loyalty to Zelensky. It's also rumored that he was a speechwriter, served a lot of time in the presidential administration. So let's see whether he'll be able to call his own shots, but everything signals not really.
OK, it's really good to talk to you. Thank you so much for your insight. Michael Bociurkiw, the Senior Fellow at the Atlantic Council Eurasia Centre. Thank you.
Thank you.